Hello, MEAG 30. This is a two-part series on using a strip till, which is this unit right here, and then there'll be another video on how to set up a planter and plant. And so in this first part, just kind of looking at our John Deere 7820. That button I'm pushing is actually actuating or turning on our GPS. And as you can see here, I'm not even touching the steering wheel. On that screen there on the right hand side is my lines that basically where that tractor is going to line up from or line up on. And the one thing about the GPS is it allows us to have straight lines, and when we're utilizing a strip till like this, it makes it a lot easier for when I run the planter afterwards. So we just kind of went out to a field last week and played with one of the tractors just to kind of give you an idea of what it is to operate this. So as I drive through the field, and I lift the 3-point up, I make my turn, and you can see my right hand is holding onto a button. When you make your turn with the GPS system, you find the next line on the screen of where you want it to go, and then you engage or turn on the GPS and let go of the steering wheel. And once it's engaged, the actual steering is all taken care of by itself. So in the GPS system, we upload maps of our fields, and we can set up the different spacing depending on how wide our unit is. If you look here, we got six rows. Those are the rows of where we're going to plant corn over. And it's following that line based in that field at that given time. Now, keep in mind that we're just using this for demonstration principles, so it's not the exact field map if we were to do this and plant to grow a full crop. As you can see, sorry, I still don't have coronavirus. I still have a lingering cough, but as you can see there, the unit, the way it's pulled, is only tilling up the land of where we're going to plant corn. And that's what makes it nice to use a strip till, because if you look at the field, there's a lot of trash. There's a lot of growth, a lot of plants, cover crop. And although it doesn't look like it's the cleanest in those rows, especially when we get into the heavy growth of the crops, it is doing work out in the field as it goes through, and it just tills up those areas to where we are going to plant our corn. All the little different components on the strip till are all doing different things. At the very back are kind of packers. One thing you want to pay attention to is the third unit from the left is not, something's clogged up in there. And so when you're operating, you should always be paying attention to that. And apparently when I was operating, I didn't see that. So it's always something just to keep an eye on. So those are all the different components. You got your shank, you have coulter discs, you have soil packers in the back. They actually break up dirt clogs. This hose right here goes to a fertilizer injection system. On the front of that tractor is a big tank that we can put fertilizer in, and we can actually fertilize the ground and inject it into the soil before we plant. So it kind of helps out a little bit as far as adding some nutrients deep down. So there's not much to the strip till, but it works pretty well. So some of the things we notice is when you're making your turn, you lift your 3-point in the air. That tank, if it's all the way full, holds 1,000 or 800 gallons of water. So it's a pretty good sized tank. So you'll be able to notice the one unit that's clogged, I think, coming up here in a second. But as one thing you notice, when you slow down the equipment, it doesn't move the soil as much. And there you can see that disc holder clogged up. And all it's doing is just grabbing soil and ripping it apart. So that's not ideal. So I think there's a bearing stuck on there that needs to be cleaned out. If we look at the soil, it digs down pretty good and pretty soft. So when we do run the planter through, it'll plant it real nice. And you can see there that the trash just kind of pulls up real easily. The units are set up on 30-inch centers. And so if you want to cross each of them, they're all 30 inches apart. And then that's about it as far as using the strip till. One thing about bigger equipment is that it's very dangerous to hook and unhook tractors. So if you think about when you normally hook up a 3-point hitch, you do bottom left, bottom right, top link. This tractor has what's called a quick hitch on there. And so as I put the jacks down on the unit, I'll pull the handle, and that is the lock for the quick hitch. So all the operator would need to do is just loosen that and then lower the unit, and then the quick hitch will come apart. So there's no, unhooking, pulling pins or anything like that. As you can see, it's difficult for me to get in between the unit and the tractor, which can be very dangerous. The jack stands on there help keep the unit stable after you unhook it. And so it's designed that way for when you go to park it over time. Because you think about this type of unit, you only really use once or twice a year, depending on what you're growing. So after you pull the handles, it releases the locks there at the bottom of the quick hitch, so that you can lower the top link or lower your 3-point hitch, and it will disengage and allow that quick hitch allows the tractor to become unhitched from the equipment. So here's a side view of it. The one thing about quick hitches is they can bind up real easily. So your tractor needs to be in neutral